Hey, Kevin here, Mr. DIY Dork from DIYDork.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really simple copper wire wrap project. Really simple. It could be house numbers, it could be a sign, it could be whatever you want. It doesn't take a lot of time, and again, like I said, really easy to make, so I think you're going to like this one. Check it out. Right, so here's all you need to make your copper wire wrapped piece. I'm just using a little piece of leftover wood here, but you could use anything you want. It could be a long one to do an entire word. You could do this directly on a house for like house numbers, whatever you want. But I'm just using an old piece of pine here. Of course, you're going to want the letter or number or word or whatever printed out. I actually hand drew this one. I couldn't quite find a font that I wanted, so I decided to make my own. And then I'll just go through some tools real quick. Tape measure, just in case you need to do a little bit of measuring. You might want a variety of pliers. I have regular needle nose and then some wire cutters just to make it a little easier. A hammer and nails. And I'm using some nails here that have a decent little head on them. They might actually be a touch big for this project, but you want one where basically the head will be able to hold on to wire so it doesn't just slip right off. Also, I have thumbtacks here, or you can use tape, and that's to hold the pattern down when we start putting it all together. And then I have a X-Acto knife here so I can actually cut out the letter. So really simple. Oh, and finally, I guess I should mention this as some copper wire. This right here is 24 gauge wire, so it's thin enough to be workable, but heavy enough that it's not just going to snap whenever we wrap around a whole bunch. So anyway, check this out. It's going to be really cool. Right, so to start, the very first thing I did was I taped my piece down, my pattern down to the board where I wanted it. And I also used a thumbtack here to hold down one of the angles. So you could either just tape everything and kind of go for it, or you could use the thumbtacks, whatever you want. Just you need to hold it down, basically. The one thing thumbtack is it will leave a little hole, so if that kind of bothers you, then tape's the way to go. Then I took my X-Acto knife and I cut out the pattern, and this thing is ready to go. So now all we got to do, and if you see my other video where I showed you how to make house numbers with just nails, it's a similar technique, but this is for the person maybe who has a little less patience and wants this to go a little quicker. But what we're going to do is the same thing. We're going to take the nail, hold it with a pair of pliers so that you don't smash your finger. And you're just going to hammer in right along the perimeter of the letters. The thing is that you don't want to nail them too close because you want a little space in between each one. As you can see, I'm nailing them in pretty good so that, when we wrap them, they can hold a little tension. On the house number video, I didn't put them in as far, but this one you actually want them in pretty good. And then if you also notice, I'm leaving about a ½ inch between the heads so that there's enough room to work around and get wire around there. So I'll finish this up and I'll show you what's all like finished, and then we can start wrapping it. All right, and there we go. It's all nailed in. It didn't take long at all, maybe 5 minutes or so. So I'm gonna pull the pattern off and then we'll start wrapping with the copper wire. Right, when you're ready to start actually wrapping the copper wire, you want to take it out of the package, and it's probably going to unravel like this, but that's okay. Just make sure it doesn't get too tangled up. And then I recommend grabbing about 1.5 to 2 inches of overhang and starting in a corner and just wrapping that around so you get a really nice tight start. And if your fingers are a little too big to do it, you can even use needle nose pliers just to get it on there nice and tight. All right. Then what we're going to do is just zigzag, just to get it kind of covered, and then you can go really wild and just get this thing really filled out. So just find one nail and then find one kind of diagonal from it, wrap it around, come back over to the other side, wrap there, and just keep doing that. And what we're going to do is just kind of go around the whole piece and fill it out. And when you get to a big gap like this, just to make the transitions look a little better right here, go ahead and go way over here and wrap one. All right, see, like that. I'm gonna come all the way up to the top, then I'm gonna do it in reverse, and then I'm gonna hit these other parts of the letter until it's filled out. I'll show you how the base looks, and then when we start going wild, I'll show you how that looks too. All right, once you kind of got your base coverage on, and you zigzagged both ways, so you kind of zigzagged at an angle like this, and then you come back at just the opposite angle, you can really start going wild and filling out a lot of the areas where you see gaps. You can also kind of go around the perimeter of pieces. So one of the tricks I like to do is to wrap around a nail like this, go around the one next to it, all right, come all the way around again, and then skip that nail. So you go up to the third nail, all right, wrap around that one, then just come back around the second and do the same thing. Skip it, come around, go back to that one, skip, go to the next, and wrap around, come back to this one. And you can just kind of start doing that everywhere. Just wrap around, skip to the next one, go back around the second, skip to that one. And that way you can get a nice outline of your letter too. So you can do that, you can do more zigzagging, you can just go wild, you can go from this corner way over to here and just really get this thing filled out so there's a ton of wire. So I'll do that and I'll kind of show you what this thing looks like finished. There's really no rules to it for the most part. It's just you want to make sure your copper wire's on there good and you fill a lot of gaps so that it gets really thick and full of all the wire so you can really see what's going on. All right, so I finally got it all covered and I think I like the results. So all I did was I snipped the wire at the last nail and that's wrapped around a few times real tight so it wouldn't come loose. It's all finished. So anyway, check that out. Really cool little project. You get some nice shine at the right kind of angles. And could you imagine this as a sign outside or like house numbers? You know, it'd start to weather and maybe the copper would start turning a little green or it would react with the nails or whatever. I think it'd be pretty cool to see how it turns out over time. The one thing with this example, I got to say, is that I think my nail heads were a little big. I'd probably go with something a little smaller, but not too small that the wire just slip right off. But I think it turned out really cool and it was an easy project. Only took about 30 minutes or so. And I hope you liked it.